Hello everyone, today we are going to learn about the four most basic, or most used properties of CSS, which is position, z-index, margin and padding. We will learn these four properties of CSS with the help of example. So inside position, we will have to learn position absolute, position relative, position, static, position inherit and position fixed. So, but here in this video, we will not learn all those, values of position. We will just learn position relative, position absolute, right? And position static. So first of all, what is it? How we will learn? How we can understand how we can apply position absolute, where we can apply position relative absolute, and whatever we will learn inside the position, right? So we will understand this position with the help of example. So let's create a HTML file first for writing the HTML code, which I have already created. You can see, and we need to create a CSS file, and after that we will link that CSS file to the HTML file. So how we can do that? We will write the boilerplate of HTML, but as I said before, like VS Code provide us predefined boilerplate, which we will use with the help of Shift+1, and we will get that exclamation mark, and then we can just enter. Now here, just before the close head tag, you can see this is the close head tag. We'll link here with the link tag, and we will write the name of CSS file, CSS, right? So this is all about, we have to link our CSS file to the HTML file. Now we will make a main div. Main div is nothing. I used to I often use main div because I always write the code inside the main div, so that if we need to share our code sometime to others, then we can do very without any problem, without any issues, right? So that's why I always create a main div. Inside main div we try to write all the code. So first, what we are going to understand, we are going to learn position absolute first. What is it? So position absolute is basically used for, I will tell you with example, like yeah, if you are making any div, if you are taking any element with the help of HTML, then this element is by default being static, you can say, which you can't move with the help of with applying the properties top left, something like that. Yeah, we can move that elements with the help of margin, but if you want to move from here to there, then we'll have to give a larger margin, and so we try to use the properties top left, and it helps us to put the element one place to another very easily. But if we are using the top left properties, then we need to make the element position absolute. So let's see. Inside main div, we will write something. We will take some div like which is box, right? And inside box, sorry, not nothing. We are not going to take anything inside box. Now we will move to the CSS file. We need to write margin. Sorry, I mean the boilerplate of CSS, and that is margin 0, padding 0, box sizing border box, right? Now we will write the HTML body. This is the boilerplate of CSS. If you don't write, still it's fine, but better to write the boilerplate. So we will put width 100%. Now we have taken the main div, main width 100%, height 100%, and then we have taken the box div inside the main. So let's put the width something like 40%, height something like 40%. Okay, then background color. Okay, now we can see the output on the web project. Let's see. Yeah, you can see the element, right? So the thing is that if we are taking any element with the help of HTML and CSS, as I told you before, then this element will always be in the top left of the screen or web browser, you can say, always be in the top left of the screen, you can see right now. But if you want to move this element from here to there, then we can't simply do without using position absolute. Yeah, there are few more options to do that, but the professional way, we can't apply without using position absolute. So let me tell you one thing, and let me explain how. So let's move to the box div. Here we go, right? So for example, I want to put that element into the center. So we are putting the element center code top 50, and transform translate -50 comma -50, right? So you can see something here. The element is becomes shorter, you can see it becomes very small as compared to before, because we need to apply the position absolute. Element just pressed themselves. Elements want to not element, web, yeah, element want to go, as we have applied the center code, element want to go from here to there in the center, but web browser doesn't allow to let this element go there into the center, because we didn't apply the position absolute. So when we are applying position absolute, for example position absolute, then you can see element will be in the center. Are you getting this? Yeah. So this is all about position absolute, because when we are applying the center code, and if we are not applying the position absolute, then the element was trying to come into the center, but the web page, the web browser was not allowing this element to let this element go into the center. That's why it was pressed, and it was looking very shorter, very smaller element, right? So this is the use of position absolute. Now we will learn what is the use of what should I say, like what is the use of position relative, right? So before going to the learning to the position absolute, position relative, we will learn that some other method to put this element from here to the into the center, right? So let me show you one more option, one more thing. Like now you can see element is here. Now we will put this element into the center without using the center code top left, right? So how we can do that? We will apply the some code into the main. This will be, for example, display flags align. I will explain align item and etc later. Till then you guys should just see the code, you should remember the code, and later I will explain like how it's gonna work, right? So align item center, justify content center. You can see the element is in the center, because when we are putting the display flags, then always web browser always try to push this element into the just here, right? And when we are putting the align item center, then align item center will push the element from here to here. So I will explain later. Till then you need to remember this code for putting the element into the center, right? So now we are going to learn position relative, right? So what is it? We will create one more box inside the box, and which will be I'm going to name it child box, something like that. Okay, now move to the CSS, child box. We are putting some width, something like 20%, height, something like 20%, and width. Oh, sorry, we have already applied the width. Now we will apply some background color so that we could able to see the element. We are applying background color. Oh my god, we are in white, right? When we are applying the background white, you can see the element, one more element instead. Oh, sorry, just we are applying some more color because it was looking like the web browser. Yeah, you can see we have created one more element inside this purple element, you can see. And now we want to put this element, into the center, right? We want to put this element into the center. How we can do that? So if you would say uh, position absolute for putting the element into the center, because without position absolute we can't. Let's see, if you are applying top 30%, 20%, 30%, then the element is still there. Why? Because we didn't apply the position absolute. So the thing is that now we are applying position absolute. As I told you, if you want to move one element from here to there, then you need to put the element position absolute, right? So position absolute, you can see absolute. Now the element become bigger. You know why? Element is into the element started to float, but element become bigger. You know why? Because we have applied the width height 20% with respect to, we are taking this div inside this box, right? But browser doesn't understand like this width and height is respect of this web browser or this web browser. So by default it will always consider the main page. This is main page. So that's why now you can see 20% means the 20% of this main page, not 20%. You can see 20% of this bubble element will not be something like this, right? It will be something lesser than which is right now. So how we can do that? So here we will use position relative to the parent. As I told you, if you are applying the position absolute to the any element, right, then we need to make position relative to the parent of this element. So the parent of this element is this div, right, this purple element. So we will apply position relative to this element. Now you can see we have applied the 20% with 20% height. That means with respect to this element, right, we have applied the width and height 20% with respect to this element, because we have applied the position absolute to the child box, and we have applied position relative to the parent box, so that browser will understand that the width or height has taken with respect to the parent, this parent, right, not a grandparent. This is a this will be this main page, the grandparent for this one, and parent for this element. For purple element, this main page will be parent, and for red element the main page will be grandparent, right? So this is all about position absolute and position relative. One more thing we are going to learn in this video, and something like z index, and no only not only more thing, we have to learn z index, margin, padding. So before learning the z index we will learn some more thing, right? So you can see we have applied the position absolute to this element, right? For example, we are taking one more child div inside that box element, right? So let's see. For example, we are naming child box 1 because we have to, without hashtag we can't, yeah. So you can see now we need to put the width height. We will copy this code, Control C. Now, we will paste it, right? So we need to change the name child box 1, and we will put the color, different color, something different, so that we could see the differences between these two elements, these two child, right? So you can see still we are not getting that black element. You know why? Because we have applied position absolute to this element, and that's why this child, that means this red one, is in floating into the air. This red element is floating into the air, and this red element has left their static position. So you can see the position inside this div is vacant, so that this black div will take the position of this red element, because red element is in the air. So for example, if you are so for example talking about the aeroplane, when the aeroplane is in the ground, then not any aeroplane will, can be the same place, right, on the ground. But when one aeroplane is in the air, right, then just below that floating, or you can say flying aeroplane, we can put one more aeroplane into the one different aeroplane, or you can say one other aeroplane just below the aeroplane which is flying into the air. And so this is all about, you can see, like if we are removing the position absolute, right, now you can see wait, yeah, these two elements now are in the static condition, you can say. Or that's why, as I told you, when the element are in the static condition, then a static position or condition, whatever you want to say, static position, then the element will be 1 below to 1. So we have taken the red element first, that's why red is on the top, and then we took the red element second, then that's why the black element is in the second, you can see, below the red element. So the thing is that how we will and where we will use z index. So let me explain. Now we will apply the position absolute to this child element, right? So we have applied already. Now you can see the element is overlapping each other. Now you can see this element is first this element was floating into the air. Then when we apply the position absolute to this child element, then it will also float into the air. Then this element just took the it also started to float into the air, and this will overlap this element, because this element will float after floating this element. So that's why you are seeing this element, black element, into the top, right, on the top, you can say. So what if you want to see this red element on the top? And here we will apply z index. You can see when we are applying z index, and we will apply the value something 9 or couple of 9, you can say. Now right now we are applying just a single line, you can say 9, and now you can see the red element is in the top, right? So this is the use of z index. But before using the z index, you will have to make the element position absolute, because z index only will work when the element is floating, and you can do the ups and down to the any elements, a floating element, with the help of z index. For example, if the z index, we are putting z index to this element more than the red one, right, then you can see the black will be on the top, right? So the thing is that we can understand if the z index of any element is greater or more than any other, then that element will be on the top. So you can see the black is on the top right now. Now we will learn about margin. Okay, so what is margin basically? So margin is all about, for example, we want this black element below to the red element, right? We want this black element just below to the red element, right? We can do with the help of top left, something like that. For example, we are applying top 30%, then still you can get this top element, this black element below to the 30 at the end, with the distance of 30%. You can see this is the 30% distance from top to this element, right? But what is the use of margin? Margin is all about when we want to give the external space between these two elements, then we can use margin. I'm not talking about a red one, just for example, we are just muting the red one for a while. Now you can see if we are talking about this black one and this purple element, right? So if we want to create the space between this top and this element, then how we will do? We can do with the help of margin also. You can see margin always create the external space between two elements. For example, we are putting a margin 30 pixel. You can see element is on the so the thing is that if you are applying this margin, then it will provide the space from in the x-axis in the x-axis or in the y-axis, both, right? But when we are applying something like margin top, then you can see element will be, create element will create the space from the top of the, div, right? In the top you can see from the top. Now when we are applying the margin from left, then you can see element is in the top, but we have, we have just got a space between this into the left side. You can see in the left, this is the left part. Similarly, you can, create a space into the right, into the bottom, etc. If you want to put the element here to there, then you can use margin similarly, right? So the thing is that now we will learn about padding. So what is it and how well it is used? So in the same element, now we are removing the margin, okay, and we are in the just because we are just considering one element, because we have muted this, child box, that element. So we don't need to use z index right now, because this will be by default on the top. Sorry. Yeah. So now padding, let me, elaborate in a very short introduction. Like, padding is basically create the internal spaces. You can say internal spaces. Like, internal spaces means, if we are applying the padding into this div, right, then it will create some internal space. Like this, if this element, this is the element inside this, purple div, right? Then when we are applying, when we will apply the padding, then we will get the internal space. Something like, for example, when we want to gap between black element and this top part, then we were applying margin, because margin was pushing this element from here to there, right? But padding will create internal space. You will have to, apply the padding to the particular element in which we want padding. For example, if we are applying to padding in this element, right? So how and what we will get? So padding, something like we are applying 20 pixel. Now you can see, yeah, we got the padding, but we are not getting output, right? So let me explain in other way, simply, because let me remove this part. We will understand padding with the help of, some other rules or some other way, you can say. We will remove this box element also, so that you guys can learn very, in a very proper way. So let's remove all this part. Now we are just simply taking a div, sorry, h1 tag or whatever you can take, h1 tag, right? We are putting something element like, I love my India, right? We have this, we have just taken this h1 tag, and inside h1 tag we have write I love my India. Now you can see the output something like, uh, let me refresh it. Yeah, I love my India into the center. Yeah, into the center, because we have already applied the center code into the main div, right? So now we'll tag h1 tag, and we are just putting background color so that the thing could be clear. Now you can see something like this, right? Now here we will learn padding. So padding is basically will create the internal spaces. How? Let's see. When we are applying padding into the h1, then you can see something like, got it? Are you getting? We just apply padding, and you can see padding is creating the internal space. For example, we are removing again, sorry, we are removing this padding. Now you can see by default the element is something like that, right? When we are applying padding, when we are applying padding, padding 30% again, then you can see we are getting the internal spaces between, in the, you can say, for this element, we are getting internal spaces, right? We are not getting any external space, we are just creating the internal space, you can see. But what margin was doing, you can, let me explain about margin one more time. You can say by default the element is something like this, right? And when we are applying margin means, when we are applying margin, then you can see, for example, we are applying 100 pixel for the better understanding. Yeah, it will not work because the element is already into the center, right? So let me remove the center code. Yeah, so now you can see that. Now you can see that. Let me put the width height with something like 15%. Yeah, now you can see that when we are applying the margin, then we are getting the space, external space. From the top we are getting the y-axis element here, from the, x-axis we are getting the element from here to here to there, right? So now we will, apply the padding one more time, so that the thing could be very clear. Now padding, for example, we are applying 30 pixel. Now you can see element is at the same place, but we are getting the internal space, right? This is the use of padding. So this is all about these four CSS properties, and which is very helpful for learning or for creating the good website. So in this video, just we have learned these four properties, and in upcoming video we'll learn some more properties and some more exciting stuff, so that we will, improve day by day. Till then, keep learning and keep exploring.